The night deepens, the ghost speaks at last, and the play turns from mystery to command. This is the scene where knowledge becomes a burden. What was fear now becomes duty, and Hamlet's life changes forever. Welcome to the most decisive scene of the opening act of Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 5. We are still on the platform, but here we see only Hamlet and the ghost. Where wilt thou lead me? Speak, I'll go no further. Mark me. I will. My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself. So the ghost is getting some kind of leave every day or every night. Otherwise, he is burning in sulphurous and tormenting flames. When do people burn? After death in hell. So the ghost is normally in hell and he is getting some time out. Hamlet is feeling bad, of course. Alas, poor ghost. Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold. Speak, I am bound to hear. So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear. So primarily the ghost has come to ask for revenge. Why revenge? What revenge? We'll know. What? I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night. So I am allowed, or I have this fate that I have to come every night. And what do I do in the daytime? And for the day confined to fast in fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. Now this idea of purgatory is that it is like an intermediary station between hell and heaven. So if you are a very bad person, very sinful person, you straight away go to hell after death. But if you are not that bad but have done something wrong, some sins, we all do that. We're all humans. So obviously we commit sins sometimes even without realizing we are doing it. In that case, if you are otherwise good person, then God offers you a chance to go to heaven. But before that, your sins, whatever small ones you have done, needs to be burnt away. So this whole idea is, again, there are a lot of controversies as to which schools of thought believe in it and which do not believe in it. But here clearly the ghost is talking about a purgatorial place where his initial sins are all going to be burnt away till he gets access to heaven. But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house. So prison house here means that purgatory where he is now stationed for his purification process. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood. So I'm not allowed to speak about that place. But if I could speak about that place, it would scare you. Make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotted and combined locks to part and each particular hair to stand on end. You will be so scared if you heard what actually happens there. Your eyes will pop out, your hair will stand on its end. Like quills upon the fretful porpentine, like a porcupine's quills, your hair will stand. But this eternal blazon must not be 2 years of flesh and blood. I'm not supposed to tell what happens after death. List, oh list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love. So instead of that, let me talk about why I have actually come here. Oh God. So Hamlet, when he hears the word dear and then father and then love, we know how emotional he is. He's exclaiming, oh God, revenge is foul and most unnatural murder. The ghost is not saying revenge my murder. He's saying revenge his murder. As if the ghost is distanced from King Hamlet, the person. Murder? Murder most foul, as in the best it is. But this most foul, strange and unnatural. Haste me to know it, that I, with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love, may sweep to my revenge. Ironically, Hamlet cannot do that in the play, and that is his major problem. He wants to take revenge in a hasty way. He says he wants to, but will he be able to? That is the question. I find thee apt. So the ghost says that you are an appropriate person I can talk to. And duller shouldst thou be than the fat weed that roots itself in ease on Leith wharf, wouldst thou not stir in this. Leith is the river of forgetfulness in Greek mythology. Now, a fat weed which grows itself on the bank of river Leith suggests complete dullness, laziness, forgetfulness. So the ghost is saying that even if you are a fat weed growing by the side of the river Leith, even then you would be affected by what I'm about to tell you. Now, Hamlet, here. 'Tis given out that sleeping in my orchard, a serpent stung me. So people know that I was stung by a snake. So the whole year of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. So a wrong information, a forgery with this information is done, and people are misguided. They are given a wrong account of my death. But know, thou noble youth, the serpent that sting thy father's life now wears his crown. So it's actually not a real serpent, but his brother that the ghost is referring to. That the serpent, the person who acted like a serpent and killed me, is now wearing the crown, is now the king of Denmark. Oh, my prophetic soul, my uncle. The thing is that the ghost is not giving any new information to Hamlet. Hamlet already knows, or thinks that he knows, that his uncle is guilty. The ghost is now alone with Hamlet, and there is no way for us to verify whether the ghost is really speaking or whether Hamlet is imagining the words. The objectivity of the ghost that was clearly established in the first scene, because 3 people saw the ghost, does not necessarily prove that the words we are now hearing on stage are actually being spoken and they are not imagined by Hamlet. What else does the ghost talk about? It's not just the uncle, it's also his mother that Hamlet is about to hear. Aye, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wit, with traitorous gifts, O wicked wit and gifts. So the uncle was giving gifts and he was convincing Gertrude even before the murder of Hamlet, that have the power so to seduce one to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. Now this is where a new development is taking place. Hamlet's words in the second scene was that his mother was in love with his father dies, and immediately after the death of the first husband, Gertrude switches over to the second one. This is what we get to know in the second scene. Here, the ghost is saying that King Hamlet's wife had turned against King Hamlet while he lived. Oh Hamlet, what a falling off was there from me, whose love was of that dignity that it went hand in hand even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. So it was a choice for Gertrude, and she chose Claudius while Hamlet was living. And the ghost even tries to justify why that was done by Gertrude. But virtue, as it never will be moved, though lewdness court it in shape of heaven. So virtue, if somebody is virtuous, then they will never move from their position. Just like Shakespeare had written in his sonnet, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Similarly, virtue will never move, even when it is provoked by lewdness in shape of heaven. Similarly, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed and prey on garbage. But if you are not filled with virtue but filled with lust, then no matter where you are on an angelic bed sitting with an angel, even then you would crave to feed on garbage. So Claudius is garbage. Gertrude is filled with lust, not virtue. So automatically her attraction is natural towards Claudius, the garbage, but soft. Methinks I scent the morning air, brief let me be, sleeping within my orchard. Now he gives the whole account here. Sleeping within my orchard, my custom always of the afternoon. So I always took a nap in the afternoon in my orchard, so I was sleeping. Upon my secure hour thy uncle stole. So your uncle came with juice of cursed Habenon in a vial. So a poisonous thing was carried by Claudius in a vial, in a small glass bottle. And in the porches of my ears did pour the leprous distilment. Distilment is the solution. So Claudius pours the solution into the ear of the sleeping king. And it's a leprous distilment which causes effect like leprosy, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man. The poison affects the blood immediately, that swift as quicksilver, mercury, it moves very fast, and it's said to be a very poisonous thing too. So this liquid, it also had a similar effect. It courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, that is our nose, our mucous system. This whole thing is affected immediately along with the blood vessels. And with a sudden vigor doth posset and curd like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. So the blood gets curdled, coagulated, and it cannot flow through the veins. So did it mine. And a most instant tetter barked about, most laser-like, with vile and loathsome crust. All my smooth body, the skin got broken and all immediately. Thus was I sleeping by a brother's hand of life, of crown, of queen at once dispatched. I was taken away from my life, from my kingship, from my wife by my brother. And the main problem is that he had to die at a time when he had not yet managed to counteract his sins with good deeds, balance out his book of record to God. Cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhoused, disappointed, unannealed. So I was not given a chance to confess, have some rituals, settle my account with God. No reckoning made. I wasn't given any kind of warning, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. Horrible. Oh, horrible, most horrible. If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. So he is asking for revenge. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. He wants revenge, all right. But he says, don't bother about your mother. She will have her own calling. So the idea of moral restraint, conscience, these things are brought in. Her to heaven and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge. He knows that Gertrude is feeling guilty already. That means this version of Gertrude's action that we have from the ghost makes her an accomplice, doesn't it? Because why would she feel guilty if she is not aware of the murder? It can happen that the ghost feels that his wife knew. Maybe she didn't know actually anything. But as per popular belief, when people die and become ghosts, they know everything. And that's why usually ghosts are considered to be truth sayers. So is Gertrude an accomplice or not? We are never given a solid answer there. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the matin to be near. So the morning is close by, I have to go, and begins to pale his ineffectual fire. Adieu, adieu, Hamlet, remember me, remember me. These words have reverberations far beyond this scene. It's like this line, remember me, becomes Hamlet's guiding principle throughout the whole play. He is left all by himself. Another soliloquy obviously comes. Oh, all you host of heaven, oh earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? So he is addressing the whole universe here. Oh, fie, hold my heart. And you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. So it's probably is feeling like his body is melting down, is having a feeling very similar to a collapse, and he wants his muscles to hold on, be steady. He knows how hard it is to act right now. Remember thee, I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. So his brain is like this globe which is distracted. But so long as he can remember, he's going to remember the ghost. Remember thee? Yeah, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records. He consciously makes an effort to prioritize this moment, remember this moment, forget about everything else so that he can remember this moment. And who knows, in that process, the memory with Ophelia also gets sidelined, erased as a conscious effort. All sorts of books, all forms, all precious past that youth and observation copied there, whatever I have ever learned and recorded in my memory. Usually we know that when we study books, then we develop our sense of logic, reason, sensibility. And more often than not, these qualities make us less aggressive, less prone to take impulsive action. But Hamlet knows that if he cannot remove his previous learnings, then he cannot act with the intensity he wants to act on. A very similar prayer was heard in a different play, and it was by Lady Macbeth. Unsex me here. So both these characters, Lady Macbeth there and Hamlet here, they know that under normal situation, the human beings as they are, they cannot act in the way they intend to unless they remove their individuality, their humanity. As for Hamlet, he as an individual had developed through this entire grooming process, his schooling, his university education, until and unless he removes them, he cannot entertain the aggression that this revenge demands. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. I will not dilute this emotion, this raw emotion, with any other emotion. Yes, by heaven, O most pernicious woman, O villain, smiling, damned villain, my tables. Now, earlier he used this word, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away everything else. Now he's actually talking about a physical tablet, like not the tabs that you use, but like a slate. And again, it reminds me of Moses with his commandments from God. That is also interesting here, but he possibly takes out a slate and he notes things down there. And what does he note? Meet it is, I set it down. It is appropriate that I write it down. And what does he write? That one may smile and be a villain. At least I am sure it may be so in Denmark. And he's writing that. We don't know if he's writing exactly those words, or maybe he's writing that Claudius is responsible. We don't know what he's writing, but very similar to what he's talking about. So he's organizing his thoughts, planning, recording truths for himself, because maybe tomorrow he might doubt his own ideas, so he wants to write them down. And in the Bible, tables of stone are the tablets on which God's commandments are given. So here you can say there's a subtle evocation of that idea of moral flaw and permanence, that I want to keep this as a permanent record. So he writes them down, the words. So uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu, adieu, remember me, I have sown it. Now he's mumbling to himself when Marcellus, Horatio, they come in. My lord, Lord Hamlet, heaven secure him. So they're still outside the stage. And now they'll come. Enter Horatio and Marcellus after much hollering. How is it, my noble lord? What news, my lord? So they are bothered, they are concerned. Oh, wonderful. Now look at the very weird kind of response from Hamlet. Wonderful. Okay, he had gone through an experience which is filled with wonder. That is fine. But the word wonderful is a very positive word. Hamlet didn't have a positive experience. He was filled with a lot of anguish and anxiety. But he's saying, oh, wonderful. So he is also trying to hide reality from even his friends. Good, my lord, tell it. No, you will reveal it. I will not tell you, you will tell everybody. Not I, my lord, by heaven, nor I, my lord. How say you then? Would heart of man once think it, but you will be secret? So he wants to ensure that they will not speak. I, by heaven, my lord. But Hamlet does not give them any actual information. He is playing with words. There is never a villain dwelling in all Denmark, but he is an arrant knave. The word knave means a villain. So he says there is a villain in Denmark who is a villain. It doesn't make sense. Now the thing is that Hamlet has not yet given out any plan that he will act mad in front of his friends. So if his words are sounding irrational, maybe he's really affected to a great degree. He's losing his mind. It can be a possibility. And Horatio had already told him that the ghost might make you mad. There needs no ghost, my lord, come from the grave to tell us this. You don't have to get this information from a ghost that a villain is a villain. We know that a villain is a villain. Why, right, you are in the right. And so, without more circumstance and all, I hold it fit that we shake hands and part. He doesn't want to talk to them. He wants time alone. You, as your business and desire shall point you. You can go and have your life, lead your life, go whatever you do. Go do whatever you want. For every man has business and desire. That means what? He doesn't have business and desire. Such as it is, and for mine own poor part, look you, I'll go pray. Poor part. Part can also mean performance. What is his performance going to be? He's going to go and pray. Horatio can't make sense out of what Hamlet is saying. These are but wild and whirling words, my lord. So this moment prepares us for Hamlet's later decision to put on an antic disposition. He tells them that I will be acting mad. But at the same time, it leaves open the question of where real madness ends and performance begins. How much mad Hamlet really is and how much is feigned. I'm sorry they offend you heartily. Yes, faith, heartily. It's no offense, my lord. Yes, by Saint Patrick, but there is, Horatio, there is offense. And much offense too. Touching this vision here, it is an honest ghost. But let me tell you, that ghost was telling the truth. For your desire to know what is between us, overmaster it as you may. Do control that desire, because I will not tell you what happened between me and the ghost. And now, good friends, as you are friends, scholars and soldiers, give me one poor request. He's making a request to them. What is it, my lord? We will. Never make known what you have seen tonight. Hamlet wants them to stay quiet, to keep this a secret. So earlier he was speaking incoherently. His words were not making much sense. Now we see him speaking like a strategist, as if he has a plan in mind. My lord, we will not. Nay, but swear it. It's important for Hamlet to get a proper and official statement, an oath from his friends. But it's very funny, if somebody tells that I will not tell this to anybody and somebody just swears it. Does it really make a difference? Because finally these are all words. But still, Hamlet believes that if they swear in a ritualistic manner, they would abide by it. In faith, my lord, not I, nor I, my lord, in faith, upon my sword. So it's important for them to make it an official oath that they will not tell anybody anything. Upon my sword. We have sworn, my lord, already. Indeed, upon my sword, indeed. And suddenly, the ghost is speaking. But this ghost is not on the stage. It's beneath them. We can hear from somewhere under the stage, the ghost speaking. Swear. Now, on the surface, the ghost repeats swear to reinforce Hamlet's demand. But on a deeper level, we feel that the ghost is controlling the scene even after his disappearance. He does not disappear completely after the revelation. He continues to haunt. Aha, boy, sayest thou so? Art thou there, Truepenny? Come on, you hear this fellow in the cellarage. Consent to swear. And Horatio says, fine, you give us the statement, we will say. Propose the oath, my lord. Never to speak of this that you have seen. Swear by my sword. Again the ghost says, swear. Hickety-picky? Then we'll shift our ground. So you're everywhere? The ghost is omnipresent. Hamlet shifts to another position. The ghost will still speak. So it's like the ghost has latched on to Hamlet's self. No matter where he goes, he carries the ghost with him. The voice of the ghost. Come hither, gentlemen, and lay your hands again upon my sword, never to speak of this that you have heard. Swear by my sword. Swear. The ghost and the echo. Well said, old mole. Canst work in the earth so fast? So Hamlet said that let's move to another position. And there also, when the ghost is speaking, Hamlet is saying, so you have moved through the earth to this position also? A worthy pioneer, once more remove, good friend. So he goes to another location, moves around on the stage. Oh, day and night, but this is wondrous strange. So Horatio is very surprised by all this. And therefore, as a stranger, give it welcome. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. You must have heard this line even before you've read Hamlet. It is so famous. So there are things in heaven and earth, things that happen which we cannot explain by knowledge that is available to us. This is an important statement coming during the Renaissance when the worldview was shifting from a theocentric universe to a homocentric universe, when man was gaining more and more power from science or scientific mind. Then Hamlet is saying, then Shakespeare is writing that you can't explain everything by reason and logic. But come here as before, never, so help you mercy, how strange or odd soever I bear myself. So he is now giving his plan that I might bear myself in a strange fashion. I might appear to act in a strange fashion, as I perchance hereafter shall think meet to put an antic disposition on. Antic means weird. I might appear in a weird manner. That you at such time seeing me, so he wants them to ignore that behavior in him. He says that I will be acting in a weird way. But even if you see me, don't show any expression that you understand why I am behaving in this way. So he wants absolute secrecy from his friends. That you at such time seeing me never shall with arms encumbered thus or this head shake. Maybe I am shaking head or something, or by pronouncing of some doubtful phrase as well, we know. Maybe, you will say something with gesture, knowing looks. Don't do that. Don't give away the idea that you know that I'm doing this on purpose, or if we list to speak, or there be, and if they might. So don't use all these expressions when you see me behaving in a weird manner, or such ambiguous giving out to know that you know aught of me. This not to do. So grace and mercy at your most need help you. Swear. So Hamlet is planning a deliberate disguise here. Again, the ghost reinforces the word swear. Hamlet speaks to the ghost. Rest, rest, perturbed spirit. And they swear. So, gentlemen, with all my love I do commend me to you, and what so poor a man as Hamlet is may do to express his love and friending to you. So he expresses his gratitude, promises that he will be rewarding them in future. God willing shall not lack. Let us go in together, and still your fingers on your lips, I pray. Silence. The time is out of joint. O cursed spite, that ever I was born to set it right. He is not happy that these are bad times, but it is worse that he is supposed to be the one to set it right. The task of revenge is not something that he welcomes. It's more like a curse than a duty. And he is not very eager that, he can be a hero, but this reluctance, this distress. Why? Because he has to change himself, suppress his own readings of literature, of philosophy, things that he has learned in the university, trying to become a better human being. He has to set that aside and murder somebody. Now, while we have reached the final scene of the fifth act, I thought it worthwhile to mention something important to you. Shakespeare's son, Hamlet, just 11 years old, dies in 1596. Hamlet was written and performed around 3-4 years later. In Shakespeare's time, Hamlet and Hamlet, these two names were quite interchangeable, even in legal documents. We must be careful here because Hamlet is not an autobiography, and the story itself comes from older sources. But this fact about his son's death has led to many critics looking at the play as carrying a trace of personal loss. So Shakespeare's experience of loss obviously must have had some effect on the way he constructs the emotional intensity of the play, especially around the ghost and Hamlet's reaction to it. Notice what the ghost demands. He does demand revenge, but he leaves with the words, "Remember me." He exists in a space between life and death, peace and suffering, cannot rest, like a symbol of unresolved mourning. And a father writing a play with unresolved mourning deeply buried in his heart, it is very obvious that it might show. Stephen Greenblatt, he had made this wonderful study, The Hamlet in Purgatory, points out that Shakespeare was writing at a time when all these questions about ghosts and afterlife, they were deeply unsettled. Official religion denied the existence of all this, that people can return from the dead. Yet, people continued to feel haunted when they lost somebody. And the ghost in this case is like a desire to preserve the memory of somebody who is dead, even when the belief system doesn't allow it. So that's why, to remember the ghost, Hamlet has to let go of all his learnings which justify against the existence of the ghost. So when Hamlet vows to erase everything else, keep only his father's command in his mind, we see how dangerous it becomes. This memory, this demand becomes. Memory becomes a burden. And revenge is not just born from anger, it's born from grief. So the central ideas of the play are well established by the end of the first act. Memory as a moral command. The idea that when you write something, you preserve it better. So writing and self-consciousness. Madness as a strategy is established as a very important concern in the play. And then, of course, private truth versus public silence. The difference between reality and performance. All these things are well established by the time we reach the second act. Technically, the first act is considered to be the exposition, where we get to meet the characters, understand a little bit about the situation they are in, and a kind of anticipation grows in us. Shakespeare usually handles the first act of all his tragedies with great mastery because he just doesn't give us the characters or the situation. He gives us a whole ambience. And here we get that ambience of distrust, of self-doubt, of ghosts from the past, and of the importance of choices that we make and how the choices made in Act 1 become the consequences in the final act. But before that, we have to go through the second, third and fourth ones, right? See you all in my next video when we initiate with the rising action, with the second act. Till then, stay with us, stay subscribed. This is Monami Mukherjee signing off. Bye-bye.